Hello, beautiful women. How are you all tonight? You all. I just felt to jump on here because I want to talk to you about your identity as we have done so many times before. But I really just felt to, for the next few days, right up next week till the 18th of July, when it is our Saint Gathering in His image in Cape Town, Simonstown. And I felt to just mention to you tonight, do you know that you are dangerous? That you are dangerous, woman? Do you know what happened in the garden? Do you really understand what God did when He created Adam, and then He said that he is not complete, that he needs his helper, that he needs that other person to come and be one with Him. God created them to be equal. That's what He says. He created them in His image, and to be equal, together the two of them in harmony. And the whole strategy of the enemy, of the devil in the garden, was to bring division between the two of them. And that is a division that I'm talking about, where instead of this oneness, equally working together as a team, yes, the female in her way that God created her, and the man in his way. And then as husband and wife, there is so much in this. But tonight, I just want to talk about this very thing, because I think sometimes, because of society and because of the way we have grown up, because of culture, we often go, yes, you know, that woman, Rahab, the prostitute, or that woman at the well, the prostitute. And the way that we talk as women, even about other women, or men talk about other women, just society in general, where we put women in that place or in their place. So please stay with me. I am not against men. I am married to an amazing husband, and we together form a team. We work together equally in our roles as God created us, and I cheer men on. I am as much for men, but this is a women's ministry, and I feel just to talk about it because of women that I journey with and who don't actually understand this, or sometimes we don't think this could possibly be me, or, you know, my mom, or my sister, or my friend. And the whole Bible is this epic to this oneness, the story of the man and the woman that God created to be one. And then finally we know that one day the bride will be restored to Jesus, to Christ, at the wedding feast. And so there is this history and this beautiful thing that reality that God actually created, and yet we bring in this worldly thing, and the whole way that the enemy came in, and the way he wants to do it, and what he's been wanting to bring in, to bring this division. And together, you know, to know that together as man and wife, we reflect this image of God, the church, of Christ Himself. And I think it is a dangerous thing for men not to actually, I'm talking now to women, but it is a dangerous thing when men do not actually acknowledge this very thing. You know, because when God created the woman, He said, this is very good. This is very good, because then it was complete, because she then came to complete Him. And for a long time, I actually didn't speak about it like that. You know, I used to say, I am 100% woman and he is 100% man, and together we make it work. But actually, the way God created is so specifically to be this very picture. So together we reflect God's perfect plan, His perfect image here on earth. And so why is it that I'm saying that you are God's dangerous weapon? Well, God's dangerous weapon, because of what happened in the garden when the devil came and said to Eve, and Adam should have been there, her protector. He was supposed to be there. And we're so quick to go, Eve did this. But actually, it was Adam. And when you understand how God created it to be, and he twisted God's truth, what God spoke to her, and we know what happened. But God doesn't then punish her by saying, and bringing the wrath of the devil against Eve, but he actually instead vindicated her in a way in that place where he then said these words, that your seed will crush his head. And we know that that is Jesus. But there is something about our seed that God has put in us, our lineage after lineage after lineage, and so many lineages in the Bible as well. And in that moment, you are a threat to the enemy. You are a dangerous weapon to the enemy. And the devil knows what you are capable of because of the seed that is in you. And when he said that I'll put enmity between you and the woman, and then that your head will be bruised by the woman and her seed, by the woman and her seed. God is passionate about reconciling men and women so that we can journey together. But yet history, if you look at history, and even now in nations, even, I don't want to say more, but from what I can see, what's happening at the moment, women are being, just for asking to be educated, to drive, to get a driver's license and drive a car, they are being executed in countries. And this is history, So when I say this, you can see, when I say that, woman, you are a dangerous weapon, God's dangerous weapon, because of this very thing, then it is just to say, let's be aware of this, that we can see it in other nations and around us, but also as women in our own lives. And there is definitely an agenda that has come up against you personally in your life, attacks that the enemy will bring against you. And so be aware of that because of who you are, women. So I want to also mention this, that Satan can also use you as his secret weapon. And so just to be aware, in our marriages, when we have this, a godly marriage or a marriage where our husband is not yet a Christian, and the way that God created it to be, where we can live this life in a way because we understand the love of God, the love of Jesus Christ. We can, through Holy Spirit, really be that Ezer that we've spoken of before to our husbands, to really see their hearts maybe change, for them to be those men of God that God created them to be. And I know that this can be a really sensitive point because there are so many marriages that are really struggling, or where there's been divorce, because in the long run there's been so many other issues that have come in. And I really believe that's where Holy Spirit comes in, and we need to be wise with that. But to know that the enemy will use you to bring division between you and your man. And often with me, I know it's when I go off and I'm talking and my words become words that are not honoring towards God and towards my husband. So you are not just God's amazing weapon to bring, what God is wanting to establish here on earth, but also Satan can also use you in that sense. So just to think about this thing of number one, that he made us to be one. He says, and you and the woman will be one, Adam and Eve. And when he brings this split in this number one, someone mentioned an atom. When you split an atom, you create a nuclear bomb that destroys cities and has an effect, negative effect for years after that. And just those words in the word that where he says that our words have power. We know that our demand when we speak has power. And so I know that I am God's secret weapon. To do God's things, to be that woman that God has created me to be here on earth, to do all these things, to usher in his kingdom through me in the way that he wants to use me. In my marriage, if I am married, I am married. If you are married, in my family, my children, in my community and my city and nations. So that is who you are, women. But to also be aware that Satan also wants to use us, will want to use you. Sometimes maybe even use us without us realizing. And so just to know that, to want that unity and that oneness with us and our husbands. And God says he blesses unity. And so we want that. We want blessing. I know sometimes when it's not a good marriage, it's different. And that's not always possible. And I talk to God about that. I really feel that for women, some women that I've journeyed with for a long time, where it's not that simple in that sense, when it's not a quick fix. So I understand that when there is that, where it is possible and the husband changes because we are honoring him and we're wanting to be that is there for him. And we want to see that oneness and that equal thing that God says equally created us in his likeness. And we have this friendship that we can walk together. Honestly, I don't know how else to do this because I have been married for over 30 years and to a man that loves Jesus, and together we do ministry. And I have found that marriage can be hard sometimes. It is not always easy. But because I understand the bigger picture and I love God and want to honor him, I know that this is the most important thing for me before anything else, before my children, before others, and before ministry and all that. And God, of course, the most important. So I just wanted to remind you of this, talking about identity, that you are dangerous. He's dangerous weapon. And just to see the way that he created you equally in his likeness for his purposes. And so I just want to encourage you with this tonight. And I will see you soon.